Hi, I'm Michael Senoff, founder and CEO of HardToFindSeminars.com. For the last 5 years, I've interviewed the world's best business and marketing minds. Now my challenge is to build the world's largest free resource for online, downloadable audio business interviews. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and today I'm going to show you the skills you need to survive.
99.9% of the stuff that you know about business is absolutely a lie. And as I tell you that, if people get the cassette, take the information that they don't believe and pick a few business owners that they know that are successful and ask them who's right, the people that have been whining for them or me. And you'll find I'm always right. Why? Because I've been doing this so long. I've owned 200 and some damn businesses. In the last few years, most of the businesses we have purchased are between 5 and 10 million.
All right, we're talking to Art Hamel, and I'm always on the lookout for marketing courses and for new stuff for the people who visit my site. Tell me, how long have you been doing this, and generally, what do you do? What do you do? How do you get into it, and what's the program that you've been marketing for all these years?
Let me see. I started in business over 40 years ago. So I was involved in business. As a matter of fact, I got in the real estate business because I was talking to some friends of mine in real estate that were we were building buildings, restaurants. And somebody was talking to me and said, are you selling any of your business? And yes, I am. And I said, how do you sell a business? Because I didn't even know how to do that. And they said, find a business broker. Well, I couldn't find any business brokers. And what happened is they said, get a real estate license, you'll run into them. Well, I didn't run into them because at that time there were very few. And it's interesting because a couple of years later, I ended up teaching a course that many of the business brokers today and merger and acquisition people got started in. But it was not my intent to teach. It was just that a lot of people were coming to me and asking me questions about business. They wanted to get involved. They said, why don't you teach a class? And I said, my God, that would scare me to death because I'd never even given a speech or a talk.
How old were you when you started business? When you got into your first business?
The education part?
Yeah, like when you...
Over 40.
So before then, what were you doing up until your 40s?
Buying businesses. I had worked for companies like IBM.
Okay.
And that's how I got to California. They transferred me from New York. And I lasted about an hour after that, and I quit and started in business. Actually, I went into consulting business in the beginning. And then my fantasy, because I took over as a general manager for a place down in Santa Cruz, was to have my own place. This happened to be a resort type thing. And I ended up buying a Mickey Mouse little 25-unit motel in Modesto. Freeway had passed by, so I was basically one of those mom-and-pop persons out there with a torn T-shirt cleaning the pool. And it just so happened that somebody came by that was selling franchises. And I also broke my arm. And so I couldn't do anything. And about 3 years later, we had 25 companies. But they weren't startups. These are companies we had purchased from somebody else. The original person was a movie-type person that had stopped by selling franchises. And with that, we went into selling franchises with a company called Continental Marketing Institute. And from that, the franchises we were selling weren't doing a good job of promoting the products, so we ended up buying the parent companies.
Well, what was the franchise that they were selling?
Well, the main one we had was a thing called Burger Barn. We had Buck 49. And then we had another one was a barbecue franchise. I can't remember the name of it. It was from Tennessee.
So you owned that motel, and then you met somebody, and you kind of got into the franchise business.
We had 25 businesses about 2 years later. I had 4 businesses that I started, and the thing that was interesting about it, I was so tied into businesses, it didn't even dawn on me in business because later, as I was giving talks around the country, people that knew me from school would listen to me, and they'd hear me say that I got started at a certain time, and they'd always say afterwards to remind me that, were you also in business back when you were going to college? And I said, no. They said, yes, you were. What do you think you were doing?
What were you doing in college?
Oh, everything from selling newspapers. I ran the Sunday daily newspaper stand at Penn State, which is a very big business.
Right.
But we also had a book shipping business.
Mm-hmm.
I was also in the newspaper business there also.
Yeah, so you were probably born very entrepreneurial. What about as a kid, like when you were 7, 8, teenager?
As a matter of fact, I never thought about it, but yes, I was. I can remember having a movie projector that didn't work. And what I would do is I would run the Western movies through it, this little rickety camera, and the kids would pay me a penny or something like that to go through the front of the magnifying glass. I know, but I've never talked to anybody about that. This should be embarrassing, but at my age, who cares?
Yes, who cares?
We're talking about a lot of startups, but the thing I always try to stress with people, it is more difficult to start a business than to buy an existing one.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, the main reason is the money, because what happens is if you go out and start a business from scratch, you really can't borrow any money. Number one, nobody wants to lend it to you unless it's mom and dad. And if they do lend it to you, the problem is you can't pay them back because you have no profit. If you go out and buy an existing business and buy it for a normal market price, you can finance almost the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't want to give people ideas that we're talking about 100% financing. Days we were teaching nationally, all the real estate programs are talking about nothing down real estate. Well, in business, you don't have nothing down. There's a difference between 100% financing or close to it and nothing down. I don't think I ever remember meeting a seller with a normal good business that would let you in with nothing down.
Right. They're going to want something.
Well, it's not that they want something. It's them. If you have enough cash flow, you can finance the whole thing. That's really what I'm saying. So the seller, in almost every case, leads with almost all cash.
Let me ask you this. If I wanted to buy a business, and it's always been interesting to me, but if I wanted to look for businesses that are being sold, besides going to the newspaper under business opportunity, which there's so much BS there, where would I look? Where would one look?
That's terrible. Now, years ago, we used to go to the newspapers, and there's usually one newspaper, maybe LA Times, and maybe San Diego paper, which had a few in it. We used to then look in the Wall Street Journal on Thursday, but what's happened in the last 10 or 15 years is the Internet. And if you go on the Internet, what you're going to do is you're going to find more businesses that you'd ever think you'd ever want to buy. What you have to do is know how to approach them. What we try to do is educate people to the point where they buy something good. In other words, take your time, buy one making money. Don't be conned by what the brokers are going to be telling you, because the brokers are going to lie to you. The seller's going to lie to you. So what you have to do, and what we basically teach, is nothing magic. What we do is we take this mystery called a business purchase, and we blow the smoke away, blow all the garbage away, and you look down, you'll be able to see what it is you're getting.
Right.
And you buy it. In fact, we taught for 15 years. We sold those cassettes. We put together a 1-hour program in Los Angeles in the studio. Two of us did. The other person was not in business. He was a well-known talk show host. So we sat down together, and the day before we talked for 2 hours. He knew nothing about this. We sat down in the studio in Los Angeles, and 1 hour later, after they had started to roll the film, we were finished. We didn't make one mistake for 1 hour. We then ran that on a major shopping network a few years ago. At 3 o'clock, the shopping network would go off the air at 3 o'clock, and from 3 to 4 they'd run it. Now, you can imagine what happened to me all over the country. They kept seeing me in the airport, on the streets. You're the guy with the mustache. They couldn't remember my name, but we sold these cassettes.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. Many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com, and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.